for many, many years. So get to him and his special guest. It's just a special hotlines for today. It's We're going to talk about the book, The Last Goodbye. Darren, are you there, baby? Are you there?
I'm here, brother. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, baby.
Am I coming in clear?
As like they say, as clear as can be, baby.
Clear as can be. That's what I like to hear, brother. We have John with us.
Okay. As soon as you're ready, baby, do your thing.
Okay, John, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey.
Yep. Hi.
Well, I'm Darren Aquino, the National Chief Advocate for Disabled Veterans, Police, Firemen, and Families. We have a special guest who's a friend of mine, an extended family member to me. His name is John FRATANGELO. We're going to talk about a story that impacted our country back in the 60s. It was called the Vietnam War. It was a very crucial time in America. A president was assassinated, a civil rights leader was assassinated, and then we had the Vietnam War. 58 men and women were killed in that war serving country. I like to think of that time of those veterans. That was the forgotten soldier. The forgotten soldier who ran into challenge, and at the second wave of it, met with disrespect. And it hurt the American people, but more importantly, it hurt our veterans. So to you, the listener, I hope there may be some Vietnam veterans out there, but for you young folks out there, John had to go to war at 19 years old, a teenager, and had to face the horrors of that. So we're going to get into that, and I'm excited to talk about this book and its challenges, and it's going to reach your family because this is one life that combines with his cousin and the tragedy of that loss in serving this country and the effects that has on a life that a lot of you teenagers and people coming up now, college students, heard about the Vietnam War. Now you're going to hear the facts, the true facts of one man's life that impacts an entire family. And then you're going to see how this affects our nation. So without any further delay, Johnny FRATANGELO. Johnny?
Yeah, I'm here, Darren. Thanks. I just want to say there was over 58,000 men that was killed and almost 400,000 wounded.
Yes. Well, that's why I want you to tell about the details. So, as we get into this broadcast, that was a challenging time. You're in high school. Tell us how that began, like high school, then 19, and then war. Get us up to that point where you were enlisted and where you began.
Okay, well, being 18 and getting ready to graduate high school, you're kind of excited because you're ready to go out and conquer the world, but we also knew that there was a war raging, and because this was back in I graduated in 65, and the Vietnam War had just started, really, and we knew something was going on, and we heard they were being told about the draft, and as soon as we turned 19, as we turned 18, I mean, we had to go and sign up for our draft cards. So when we turned to 19, we were gone. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. We were going, and there was nothing we can do about it.
During that time, John, during that time, in the 60s, you're 19. There was also a controversy about who wanted to go. We heard about people abandoning their duty to country. You heard about people running to Canada. And they're not people. They're actually young boys. They're under 21. They're not fully grown men. But again, let me say this part. I want to thank you and all the men and women, always constantly, family as well. And I am the national chief, but I want to thank you again on air, as all citizens should be thankful and grateful for the sacrifices you made. Because as we get into this, you're going to talk about the 2 serious wounds you suffered. You're a Purple Heart and Silver Star recipient. Is that correct?
Yes, right.
All right. Let's talk about what it was like. These people. What was going through your mind when other folks were abandoning and running to Canada and whatever else? What else happened in that you could tell us so that we can understand?
Well, I had some friends that were, very concerned about, and one guy was telling me, let's go to college, because that was one way to get deferred. And I said, I was very reluctant at first, but then he talked me into it. So I went down, sitting in the audience, listening to the briefing for about a half hour, and the guy went away and said, just look at the paperwork. But I was thinking it over. I said, nah, this isn't for me. I'll take my chances with the honor. I couldn't stand school. I had enough of it. So I just wanted to roll the dice, in other words, and that's what I did.
Were you scared at that time?
No. Well, I was concerned. It was a worrisome time because you're watching it. You're watching on TV, and you're talking about 125 men and women getting killed a week, every week. That's an average, and it was.
That's how many casualties a week.
That's K's, KIA, killed in action.
Killed in action.
Not wound, right?
So that means KIA, right? Killed in action.
Killed in action, right?
Wow.
Right.
You're the son of a veteran, right? You're the son of a veteran.
Yeah, my father was in the Marines. He was in the old Iwo Jima during World War II. And growing up as a kid, he would tell me stories. So I was kind of able to understand about combat, and
so you were a little military molded.
Yes, and I knew if my turn came, I would have to do my turn too, just like my father did, and
that's honorable. That's very honorable. And here we got a bunch of kids running away, hiding, and those very same folks later on at the second wave. I mean, I was a young kid. I was 10 when you went, maybe even younger when you went, and my cousin went. Thank you, by the way, for sending that book out to the colonel, who was a Marine like your dad. My cousin's retired colonel. He was in when you were in. The other day, we talked about Colonel Joseph Scotto, another Vietnam veteran who did 35 years in career in service to country. And I'm always honored when I'm sitting with men like you, the heroes of this nation, that you went selflessly as a 19-year-old boy, and then we're going to talk about this book and all the details, but here you are, 19 years old, going to fight a man's war as a boy. A man's war where you yourself said 125 KIAs a week. This has got to be, today I talked to you, John, and you sound perfectly fine, no effect. And there are many of our veterans who have been affected from the Vietnam War. What was something that that we can enlighten this young audience about the service and dedication of the men who started out 19 years old and met all those challenges in a 2 and 4 year period of serving this country under the direction of, back then it was who was the president? Johnson, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, you have to understand. Don't forget, we were innocent. Most of us never even left home before. I never even flew on a plane before, And when they took us in, it was strange. It was just weird, And fortunately, when I went to Whitehall Street, the induction center, I was at least met up with a few of my Bronx friends. That helped a lot to get by it. But when they brought us to Fort Jackson, and you get off these buses, and you're approached by these DIs, drill instructors, with these Smokey the Bear hats, very intimidating. And they're yelling and spitting in your face, and this is new to you. And here you are, innocent kid, and the things that they're not teaching you to add 2 and 2. They're teaching you to kill. That was it. They stressed on that kill. What are we here for? To kill. And you're 19 years old, and this is
trained to kill.
Twilight Zone.
You were trained to kill human beings at 19 years old.
Yes.
Trained to be a cold-blooded killer.
Right.
And under the direction of the president at that time, and the call to arms for the battle that we were facing with Vietnam.
Right.
What was boot camp like with your friends? Being there with your friends, you build a camaraderie, right?
Oh,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
There's a point when you're there, you answer the call to the draft, you're in there for country. How does that change when you get there with your friends? What changes?
I'll tell you the truth. The first day we were there, they just lined us up and they put us to this PT drill. That I was a bodybuilder, so I was in pretty good shape, and most of these guys, just guys, and they were falling out. They put us through this PT drill that was crazy, and one guy fainted, dropped right in my arms, and the DI came over to him, had no mercy at all, waiting for this guy to come out of it, and just got on his face and just cursed him out. And I said, oh my God, what are we in for here? You know what I mean? This is all new to me. I was not new to this. This is new. I wasn't used to this stuff.
You had long hair when you went in, right? You had long hair. You had long.
Oh yeah. I was a teenager with the pompadour, slick back
You
hair.
have any pictures that with you there that you might have to show us, like what you was like, and remind everybody today they've seen a mature man, and maybe if you had a young picture of you when you got in. Do you have any service pictures?
I got this one. This is in the back of the book. I don't know if you can see it.
Hold it up. Let's see if we can all see it.
Can you see it?
I don't see you holding. Hold it up in front of the camera.
How's that?
Bring it down a little bit. Okay. Oh, okay.
That's me when I was 19 with my machine gun. That's in Vietnam.
Okay, that's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, give that a second there for folks to see that.
Well, this is on the back of the book, so you can see.
Okay, that's great. That's great. 19 years old. Look at you with the gun. Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I didn't know I was going to do this, but I got one. This is when I was wounded, and this is in Japan. I lost 40 pounds here. Just when I was just ready I was able to stand up for the first time. Can you see it?
What kind of wound did you suffer, John, for the country?
Gunshot wound in the upper thigh, went right through.
Yeah.
We got
an interesting part as we go in later, where faith plays a role here too, and crazy the mysteries we don't understand about life and the world, and where God fits in, and how things are just so incredible, and that we shared. But I want to go to another question in this time, which talks about this book. This book is all true. Every story in it is true and accurate, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everything is true. I didn't sway from anything. I made it simple so people can read it without a dictionary right by the side, so they won't have to. Sometimes when you read a book, you got to stop to figure out what a word means. It takes the whole meaning away. So I made it very simple, Can you see the book?
Yes.
Okay. Now here's the thing with the book. This is the apparition. This is what inspired me to write this book. When I had the apparition, my cousin Tony is right here. This is me. This was when I found out, the night that I found out he was killed. And I came back. They flew me back to the barracks because I was going to escort his body home. He came to see me. Now, after he was dead now, okay?
Wait a second. You now let our viewers and our listeners don't know the impact of this book yet, which we're going to get to. You had to escort your body back?
Yes, right.
Okay, now, what was the relationship between you and your cousin?
Well, he came over from Italy when he was 6 years old.
Okay.
And I didn't have a brother. He had two other brothers and three sisters, and we grew up together. So they stayed with us. We're Italian family, so we stayed with us till they got on their feet.
Okay.
My parents brought them over here. Got their visas and a place for them to stay, so they stayed with us. And until they got on their own, went out on their own. But Tony and I got this bond since we were 6 years old that we were together always.
So you grew up like brothers.
Absolutely, always together. Every weekend, every holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, summer vacations.
There's a part that you talk about. You talk about a Thanksgiving beforehand. Right. Let's talk about the Thanksgiving before you go to war, and because that's what you went to war, and your time with Tony. Now we know that you grew up and you were brothers. It's old school style. Italian families come together back in those days.
We even did the Indian ritual blood. When you cut your wrist a little bit.
The blood brother thing.
Yeah, the blood. Right. So anyway, when we were 18, we just had gotten our driver's license. So on 5, we had Danny's house. He was on Valentine Avenue in the Bronx.
Oh, Valentine Avenue. Very good.
Yeah. So after dinner, we figured we'd go for a ride. So we went for a ride in the car, and we had the radio on. And all we heard was Vietnam this and Vietnam that. So we're looking, we're talking about it. I said, look, we're probably, we knew we were there pretty soon. So we're cruising around. Fordham, it was dead. The streets were dead because it was Thanksgiving. So I said, Tony, what do you want to do, man? He says, all right, John. He says, look, let's go home. He says, I think this is the last Thanksgiving that we're going to be spending. So from that point on, he had a premonition, and he was never the same.
And he said to you that he thinks this is going to be the last Thanksgiving you spend together?
Yeah, with our families. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And it actually turned out to be that, because the next Thanksgiving, training in the Army. And the Thanksgiving after that, he was gone.
How far apart? What was the time of his enlist, his call to duty and yours? What was the span between differences of your, recruitment time?
Well, he was 6 months older. He was born in February of 47. I was born in September of 47.
We have the same birthday.
Yeah, right. That's unbelievable, right? Small world. He got his notice 1 month after he turned 19, which was March. So I figured, I'm September. I got, once September comes, I'm going to have maybe,
5 months later.
No, I'm sorry. He got his notice in September. Okay. So I figured, when my birthday comes, I'll have 6 months before I get my call. But it didn't happen like that. As soon as I turned 19, 3 weeks later, I got my letter with the one-way token in it, and training, Fort Gordon. I didn't expect it to come as fast as it did, but it did. It came,
Wow.
And it was and it was just a draft. You were gone. That's it. You got it, and you went.
My cousin was there too, as you saw, 66 to 60. Bang Dangle, where he landed, where I told you, wherever that was. I got to say again, for people who are just coming on, this is about the last goodbye. I want to just send it for new listeners tuning in. About the last goodbye, the story of Angelo, a Vietnam veteran, 18-year-old boy who went to fight for his country, as that's what our military does. They go and they fight for our country. The most controversial war in the history of this country had it was challenged, and those veterans ridicule, demeaning remarks, and some were even spit on. As the family member, numerous veterans in my family, from Marines, Army, and Army, Marines, and Navy, serving in Vietnam, and my cousin Vietnam, who's the colonel, is your age, 72. Things that he told me, and we'll get back to you as well, is that he would do it again. And I know, and the demeaning remarks to our veterans, it wasn't until after 9/11 and the war on terror that you would hear thank you for your service. You boys in Vietnam, and you were boys, challenged and forced to go out and compromise other lives for what we thought country today, what that was. But over 58,000 men and women are killed. And then you have an intimate story in this book. It talks about the loss of your cousin, the final goodbye, apparition or premonition that was going on, and it talks about your life before and during and then a little bit after. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, this is an incredible, and I'm urging everybody, because this is one of America's heroes. I want you to tell us about how you got injured, Silver Star and that Purple Heart.
Okay, yeah,
Decorated or
I be, I be, just
okay.
when Tony came to say goodbye that night. Okay, he wasn't a ghostly figure. Okay, he was real. I couldn't see through him. He wasn't transparent. Okay, he raised my hand with a little smile on his face, and he turned out, walked away, and vanished. But what I book, because I didn't know about it until after I got out of the service, is I went to visit my aunt Catherine, his mother, and his father, my uncle Frank, and I wanted to ease their pain by telling them that Tony came to visit me, right? And I saw him, and one thing my aunt Catherine told me as I was telling her that, Johnny, she says she spoke in broken English, and she said, Johnny, maybe God is a son of Tony because he was the man when you get married. He supposed to be my best, and because of the situation with girlfriend at the time before, it was an upsetting decision that he to go against the family's wishes, which hurt. I never let him. I understand. Don't worry. God didn't punish him. I never held it against Tony. And the truth, I think Tony saved my life. Okay, again, but this is what kind of my apparition told me. She took me in a room. She said, John, sit. She said, I see him. He said, come to me. He says, I'm a cry in my bed. And he come and he said, Mom, look, I'm okay. I'm fine. She said, don't you cry no more. Okay. So she, and I probably, it might have been the same evening that he came to me. I don't know. I don't know the time frame, but I wanted to bring that point out. So it's my apparition of him was real, because she saw him too, in the flesh. Okay. But, and anyway, to get back to your question, can you hear me?
I hear you. There's a little static going on back.
Okay.
What's that in the
But
background?
to get back to Vietnam, okay,
Yeah.
you have to understand. I was recon, and we with the LZs, okay, and
Again, can't hear. Hello. It's like TV on the.
not with me.
Not with me either. All right. Okay. Let's try this again. So, everybody with actual wounds, star Purple Heart recipient, which means you were a hero because you're a decorated hero. You encountered gunfire, and let's get to that.
All right, well, that's what I'm saying. Being recon, we were always in first. Okay, so we had to land first. 2 bombers would come in and bomb the night before, like machine guns, bombs. That's how many bombs are going down. And my first.
Explain what recon is. People that don't know what recon is.
Reconnaissance. We go in first. We recon the area, secure it, and for the time after us, we make okay.
How many men go in on a recon?
We usually go, if it was recon, we had 25 secure the area. On 9 ambushes or listening, but there's only 6, and they just.
It was a small group into the jungle, and you got all of this intense.
Oh yeah.
Okay, come on, continue.
My very first operation and we were landing to secure the LZ. We jumped off, and you have your full packing gear, and when we hit the mud, you're shin deep in mud, and you're trying. And now if the deep sea are dug in, you're dead meat. You're dead. You just take right off, and you're huffing and puffing and trying to out of the mud that's sucking your feet down into the mud, and you just can't wait to get. And you're praying, I used to say the rosary every time we were on our way over there, because you didn't have a chance. Okay, they were dug
You're
in.
going through mud and you got full gear on, right?
Right, and then you're climbing over trees because from the bombs, the trees went down. You know, and you're praying to get to that wood line and hoping that nobody's there dug in.
Background noise again. We got some background noise. Because some of that was cut out. And I don't want nobody to miss that. Because even though, everybody, this is about the last goodbye. This is an incredible story about John Frantangelo, his cousin Tony, and you're going to hear incredible stuff, and you're going to read incredible stuff. And today we're privileged as Americans to look at one of America's heroes, Purple Heart, Silver Star, a veteran that is deserving of all of our appreciation. This forgotten soldier didn't get enough appreciation. And still today, there are the street from that era that in New York City and places, other places, they still have them homeless in their 70s. And that's a disgrace to this country, a disgrace to our veterans, and something, as I'm running for Congress, one of the things that I will make, never be again. Never see a veteran in the streets again. That's what I'm talking about. So, John, now that a little clearer, but then tell us about that. You fall into that mud. You're back into going to, get the enemy.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I hope you can hear me because my wife just said it's getting broken up. But when we hit that first LZ that day, and we finally made it to Woodline, everything we secured the area, and the whole battalion came in. We were there for about an hour. And the other machine gun, we had 2 machine gunners, and the other machine gunner happened to get killed. He got killed just out of nowhere. All right, came out of nowhere. And so that very first day of my first operation, I got to see my first GI, my first day. I carried him out, and I had his blood on me, for 3 days because we don't change our fatigues for 3 days. That was the first day of my first operation.
You stayed in your clothes for 3 days?
We stayed in our same clothes for like at least 3 days because they used to fly to change every 3 days, every 4th day, I should say.
So you
But
took
anyway,
the first GI, and you carried out a fellow soldier.
Right. And he was dead. And then, but I broke in real. I got to see my first dead GI the first day on the first operation.
GI.
He just turned 20 years old, and he came the very night before that. He came to show me because he just got engaged. He was celebrating his birthday, and he was showing me his engagement book with pictures of him and his girlfriend that were going to get married.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and the very next day, he was gone.
Wow. And he was engaged and years old.
Right.
All right, continue. Tell us the rest. Tell us how you get wounded.
Well, that happened. That happened quite a ways. That happened after I brought my cousin home. For the wake when I went back again.
You brought your cousin home?
Yeah.
And then you got wounded?
Yeah, I went back again. Yeah, I had to go back. When I went back the second time, I had to leave my wife 5 months pregnant, and I went back. But I had to bring him home and for the wake, and because I was the escort. You see, in combat, when a soldier dies, they assign us a special escort just for that soldier to bring them home. Okay, with a military funeral and everything. Stand guard beside his casket for 3 days.
It was a bad injury. It was a bad injury to him.
Oh, he was blown up. He was hit. He was driving a personnel carrier and they hit a mine. And that's another story. I get into this.
Got some background noise. We got background noise.
This is what gets me about our leadership. Okay, you get me going kind of angry. And
come on, tell it, bring it.
But what happened when I found out here's how he really died? Okay, they had gotten this new lieutenant or captain, whatever the heck he was, right? And they had captured some VC prisoners, and they were bringing them back to Kuchi, the 25th Infantry. They're stationed with Kuchi, and this new piece of crap officer told him to go over this bridge And the guys, they said, we can't go over that bridge. It's too dangerous. And he insisted on it and kept insisting on it until he said, I'm giving you a direct order, because they were refusing. So they go over the bridge, and it was a hand detonated mine that the guy, the Viet Cong, whoever detonated the mine, just happened to Tony's personnel carrier him up. Okay. And he was the only one that was killed because he was guys were on the outside sitting on top of it, and they got thrown in about 50 feet in the air. They were blacked out. They didn't know what the heck happened, and this is the one that
They
told me the
survived.
story. Huh?
They survived. They survived.
They survived, yeah, because he told me this story because I got a hold of his sister, my cousin's sister, Teresa, about I'd say 15 years ago. She called me and said she got this strange from this guy. His name was Dave. And I said, tell him to call me. So he told me the story, and that's what happened. And if it wasn't for that stupid son of a, I get mad. He wouldn't have got killed like that, And I got a story about this.
And these stories are in the book, right? The people can see these and read these of the last.
Yeah.
This is part of the last goodbye. These things you found out and discovered.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So tell us this other story.
Because I want to tell you about this one story when we had to lead out. We had to do what they call a battalion minus. So recon goes out, goes first, and then we stop. And then the battalion they keep going. We stop, set up an ambush. Okay. But happening. Okay. I was walking through camp down on patrol, and I heard this pop like a gunshot. And I didn't think nothing of it. I thought somebody threw a box, because that's the same kind of noise it makes. It was like a pop, right? I'm walking to the company, the company area there, and to mail a letter. So I'm on my way back, and I see commotion, and I see the battalion medic, Dr. Gerstel, who was a captain, who ends up getting killed later. Okay, he was administering first aid to this GI. So what had happened? He was cleaning. His friend was cleaning his weapon. Patrol. It discharged, and he killed him. Okay. So now, patrol. We're going. So straight from. Okay. These desktop pieces of crap. Down tells us loaded. We had unloaded weapons. So we all looked at it and said, "Yeah, you gotta be kidding me!" All right? Even our lieutenant, he just gave the order just to cover his butt. You know what I mean? So there was no way we were gonna unload our weapons, especially I'm not unloading my machine gun for nobody. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of leadership we have. You know what I'm saying?
We're getting broken up here. We're hearing background talk, and you keep getting cut off.
Can you hear me though? Can you hear me? Unloaded weapons. So we all looked at it and said, "Yeah, you gotta be kidding me!" Even our lieutenant, he just gave the order. I'm hearing myself talk. You know what I mean? So there was no way we were gonna unload our weapons, especially So anyway, what I'm trying to tell you, this is the kind of leadership we have.
We're getting broken up again. Broken up here. We're hearing background talk, and you keep getting cut off. Can you hear me though? Now.
Okay. So now here's another thing. Vietnam was a joke. Okay. I mean, not a joke as far as it was a joke as far as the politicians go, because you do not fight. And I even said this when I was there. I said, you do not fight a war the way they fought it, where they would dump us in the jungle for 3 days at a time, a week at a time, sometimes a month at a time, and you secure that area, and you lose men, you lose 10 here, you lose 20 here, and then when everything's secure, they take you back out again. And what kind of idiots that we got running this? So we lost so many guys for nothing. And just like the Hamburger Hill was a movie on, that was crazy. These guys, these poor guys, they were getting chopped up, and because of a stupid idiot telling them to take this hill that didn't mean nothing, had no value at all. Okay, they take this hill after 5 guys, and these poor guys were so brave to constantly do this, slipping and sliding, getting the crap chewed up, right? And then they stay there 5 days, and they pull them back out again. What was that for? So this is what went on with this war all this time. You fight a war when you like in World War II. You go into a town and you take the town over and you can secure it and you just keep going. Over here they put
all that and all that you've done and faced, young man.
Right.
You get shot, bad, right. You're under fire. Eventually recover. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. And you cover all these details. You lost your cousin. He comes to you, and this is all covered in this incredible book, The Last Goodbye.
Right.
I can't tell you how the story moves my heart and why I am an advocate for disabled veterans. This war encompassed my uncle as well, and he's got a little, PTSD, and my cousin is fine, and he went on to be and retire in good health. And the question I always ask, would you do it again for this country?
Yeah, I would. Of course, I would do it for my country, especially for my friends, my comrade. You know, when you get over the first your country, but when you get over there and you see your country don't have your back, you're doing it for your friends. That's it. That's period. Okay. You don't even think about doing it for your country, because you went over there to do it for your country. So you're doing your thing. Okay.
Right.
But when you get over there, you're watching each other's back, and that's all that matters. You want to and help each other out.
So you're fighting for the guy next to you, like everybody.
Exactly. All right. And none of us would think twice about helping the other guy.
And how long would you actually in physical combat, like fighting, and until you got wounded?
Well, I was there. I got there May 2nd, and then I got shot on October 4th. So I was there 6 months. But you don't fight every day. It's not like you're getting out of bed fighting every day. You have a battle here, a little skirmish here. Then you have a full scale firefight, and you get mortared. Get mortared. That's a scary thing. Okay? You really, you're just sitting there like that.
There's a lot of challenges in the book. Really gets in detail with this story, and this is probably one of the most detailed, intimate stories in The Last Goodbye. It's a book I'm urging everybody to get, to support and remember our Vietnam veterans.
Well, that's another thing. I got the book because I wanted the veterans to be. I used their real names. Okay, well, I lost a lot of friends, and it's what I wanted them to remember. Okay, so when people read this book, they're gonna say, "Oh, that guy was real. He was real. Okay, he was here."
So tell us about that. You got names of.
And another thing we all had to deal with that people don't understand is the elements. Okay,
right.
It's the rain. You're dry. You're getting wet. You go to sleep and you're shaking. You're in the middle of the jungle at night. You can't hand in front of your face. You can't see your hand like this. You see it. Okay, that's how dark it is. And
so pretty much like what you see on TV, which is fake, but what they're showing in the battles in the mud and doing that on TV and getting shot and making it all blown up, that's TV. But that really happened to you.
Yes, yeah. And you got to deal with the bugs. I've seen insects this big, chopped in half with machetes. That's how big the insect was. Look, and the worst of them all, the mosquito. The mosquito was. I hated them. Little SOBs so much, And I used to put it on my knee and just keep pounding it until it disappeared.
They were huge, right?
Huh?
And then you just got a lot of sickness. And then how about the Agent Orange?
Agent Orange, okay. We're still dying off from AIDS. I just lost a few more friends from Agent Orange. They're still dying. A lot of my friends are sick. But knock on wood, so far I'm okay, But I didn't know about the Agent Orange back then in '67. I know they were dropping it, but I wasn't aware of it. I didn't.
What did it do? What was it supposed to do?
Oh, it was supposed to destroy the foliage. Okay, and so to destroy the kinds of bulls and plants and to eat. You know what I mean? Just like when we went on search and destroy missions, we had to destroy everything we've seen. The animals.
So this book, The Last Goodbye, not only talks about the intimacy, relationship, the loving relationship with your brother cousin. Like I have my cousin Joe, Joey Urgitano, and I grew up with him. He's like 7 years younger than me, and I always thought of him as a brother, and my uncle Angelo. That's how you like Italian families. That like he don't have a brother, you his brother. It's kind of a thing, a family thing. So that intimacy is going to tell people what this family encountered. How two families, one comes home, one doesn't, and you bring him home.
Right.
You
And
bring your brother home in a box.
you have to understand that the hurt that I witnessed my aunt and uncle go and my cousin siblings go through.
Sure.
They were like torn apart for the rest of their lives.
Sure, they.
It was just
That's
it was
their
just a
20-year-old
bad time.
brother.
It
He's
was a
20
bad
years
time.
old.
Bad
It was a
time.
horrible time.
Yeah.
A horrible time. It's an incredible story. A story that I urge everybody to in support of our veterans, all of our veterans. As John was saying, he named everybody because the camaraderie, veterans, even our host is a veteran. And, must acknowledge their sacrifice, or some who attempt sacrifice. I don't like when say, and this is important to everybody, to you folk, youngers, hippers, hoppers, and everything out there, that it is so important that you acknowledge every veteran because they went or they're enlisted ready to sacrifice their life for our freedom.
Right.
And they don't regard that. So to all of you folks listening, have greater respect for your veterans. They're not forced anymore today, but unless we have another problem. But think of the ones who volunteered. My nephew enlisted. He's a lieutenant colonel. Now he's in Spain with the pandemic. And he's a lieutenant colonel of the United States Marines. My other uncle is in a nursing home, a Vietnam veteran, same age as John, in the Bronx, another Bronx person. And he's there with a mental illness, and they're being neglected. They're being neglected. One of the that we help by supporting this book, we help our veterans. You show them that you have respect for them. Read the stories and tragedies of John Fratangelo's.
Another sad part about this story is too that my aunt wanted to see her son, and it was a closed casket. Okay, and I had the power of attorney as a personal escort to have this done, but I advised her not to. Okay, because I said, look, you got to remember Tony the way you knew him, because we don't know what's in that casket. I didn't tell her that, but I just told her just to remember him the way he was. This way, every time you think of him, you're going to visualize him the way you last saw him.
Handsome.
Yes, and because we don't know what was in that casket,
You didn't see yourself?
I didn't want to. I wanted to take my own advice and remember him the way he was. Because you know what I mean. So
it's very, very moving story. This book is a book for for the family to understand the difficulties and. We got the Iraqi war. We lost thousands here as well.
Yeah. I was just going to mention that, because the Iraqi veterans, it's terrible. Any war is terrible, but I've met quite a few of them, and they come up to me and say, "Look, we want to thank you, Vietnam veterans, for doing what you did because you helped us. Because we didn't get no recognition, And luckily, I didn't have to deal with that because I came on a medevac. I didn't come back. I was in the hospital, so." But they're very grateful for the Vietnam vets because we're trying to help out these present day veterans out.
Veterans have a unity.
Yeah, and I gotta thank what you do, okay? Because you're a great man. Believe me, you're doing a lot. I want to thank the people who are finally recognizing the veterans, especially the Vietnam veterans. It means so much to us. It means so much to us, and it was a long time coming. It really was.
Listen, it took 20 years for you to get a parade. This Veterans Day, I couldn't have my uncle, but I'm at Veterans Day all the time because I go for my family. Some of them can't go. I don't know what the colonel does, but my uncle couldn't go. And my other uncle died. So in honor of what they done and what my family's done, I tried to enlist, but they wouldn't take me with the club foot. I tried. The colonel came to the office. Said, "What an incredible young man you are. I appreciate you're willing to sacrifice And that's why I started advocating for veterans when I was like 20, 23, right after Ronald Reagan got involved and helped me. Advocates for Disabled is now the national policing civil rights organization in the country. And we started before the Americans with Disabilities Act. And I've been successful in modifying, ratifying the actual constitutional right in the 14th Amendment, the Act, we call it the Act, that when your benefit is challenged and the right of disability expanded on, I've done that. You can work today on Social part-time because of me and because of my fight, and let me tell you why that is, because that's how much I love you and all veterans. I do that because that's my way of giving back. I wanted to fight. I wanted to go. I thought it was like you, a family thing. I want to go. I'm 17. I told the colonel, I want to be all I can be. I said to him, he came to my father's office and my father said, he can't. He has a leg issue. And then the colonel talked. He thought he was impressed with my conversation as a young man. And that back then, you could finish college, I think that, if you went in a little earlier. Right. So I was ready, I was ready to face and meet new challenges. But, thinking realistically, we have no fear. You didn't demonstrate fear. You come from a family of veterans. I come from a family of veterans. Your patriotism to this country. This book talks about that. The last goodbye. Your cousin didn't.
Right. I just want to let people know if they really want, if they'd like to read it, it's available online on Barnes and Noble and Amazon.
Talk about it.
And Amazon ebook. Okay.
Oh, it's an ebook.
Yeah, ebook and Amazon Prime books and Barnes and Noble, and you could even go to the store.
Hey, it's a quite interesting question. Maybe just for the disabled, maybe some veterans, as you know, there's a hearing controversy, right? Going on. Do we have one where it can come up? And there's even
you mean the audio?
The audio books, yeah. Well, not so much audio because they lose their hearing, but there's closed caption and stuff like that. Because when you lose your hearing, so a lot of veterans that I know, there's also a head injury, also a visual impact. But with bigger letters and things like that. I always think for the disabled and helping them get that you're intending for them to get in this book, The Last Goodbye. Right. The Last Goodbye is something we should all look at for non-veterans, future veterans, past veterans, and those aspiring to be veterans. Because today, after the war on terror, which you don't terrorize Americans, okay, we're not terrorized. They'll be terrorized when we get there. And to let them know of a lot of the tragedies before and the kind of men who were boys became men overnight to fight a war that later made no sense. And over 58,000 lives. And what did you say the count was on women, for the women listeners? How many women died, name on the wall?
I believe there's names on the wall.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Sacrifice their life for this country. Again, even now with coronavirus, as we're doing as nurses and doctors,
well, God bless you.
I got to tell you, New Yorkers have led this fight, and New York has got a big impact. We got them coming because we help everybody. They're coming from around the states in time of difficulty. I always get emotional when I think about the country and how it's all up to us. It always comes down to us. Sacrifice, your cousin sacrificed, his sacrificed their son for a war that made no sense. And you would do it again tomorrow if your country called on you. You cannot just let that go. People just let that go. They don't understand what you went through. That's why, again, we have to tell them, this book is a book for all Americans to jump in. And we think that you should get it. And John, I can't tell you, how we doing for time, Dougie?
We're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. This is DJ Dougie Fresh from TriplevibesRadio with my man Darren Aquino and John FRATANGELO. I love you, baby. I love you. I love you. I love you. You guys have been rocking it from point A to point C. even when my computer just like died, I forgot to plug the darn in. But loving the whole thing. I was watching it on YouTube, on Facebook Live. You guys have been rocking it. Uh, John, I, I myself have to ask you one question, man.
Go ahead.
Knowing that you went and gave your life at that time when it was a lot more dangerous versus now when it's a lot more. Would you have rather have started then or started now?
Start, I
Would you
guess
rather
Been
compare
in the
this
service then or now?
service? Would you have rather this
Oh well. Oh,
in
okay.
this period?
Yeah. I tell you the truth. I'd rather be now because I know the government has my back. Back then,
Okay, because this president would have your back.
absolutely, absolutely. The only time I trusted anybody in Congress right now. Yep.
You mean the White House, not the Congress?
Yes. Well, I'm talking about the president.
Right. Okay. The president. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
This president has the back of veterans. And
Yep.
since we're talking about that, now veterans, because that sick week, this in order never before. Any for just and I that this president that initiative for no more VA.
You know, point, Dougie. Back then, when we had hospitals. They were terrible. Just like crap, plain English. And they were against us. They were against us. That generation is gone. Generation, a reps, and a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, no. Because these, they're not trying to kick them out.
They still have that out up in the Bronx. They fix. I know because
Montrose,
I challenged them.
Castle Point.
In the Bronx, they fixed, and it's the newest facility. They have a great one here in Miami. It's the best in the country. And I'd like the president for that because he got on because last administration, the entire VA collapsed. And the veterans and family members, were challenged greatly. And, every American who's in leadership must own up to their fault. They must. It's the only way we can bring change. It's the only way we can repair it. Right. We got too much politics that affects our veterans. And yeah. This book talks about your heroic sacrifice that is so important. This heroic attitude of yours to defend your country, showing the honor and integrity of your family, the Italian culture. It goes into a lot of things because for the other listeners who may be Italian, identify with that because Italian families and Latino families, it's a cultural thing where holidays and things mean a lot. Family is very important. And to go and lose a 20-year-old brother, sister, who goes to fight a war that made no sense before they were recognized or emancipated like 21 years old. They were not 21. They were 18 and 19 years old.
Right.
Out of high school. And others, to avoid that, went to college. But men like John FRATANGELO, 18, high school, war. High school, war. His cousin, high school, war. You must admire and embrace these men. And at that time, there was mainly men. There were a lot of women nurses and things. As he said, there were about 8 names.
They were invaluable. Believe me, they were great.
They were invaluable. As you hear it here, with all the controversies in our country, we got to thank this president for standing up for our veterans. We love this president. I'm running for United States Congress here in Florida in the 19th district. And I said to John, because as you set up a team um, in this congressional seat, I encourage all of you to go to www.aquinoforcongress.com. John also puts comments there. It's important. And also to go to the website, www.adaadvocates.com. You could leave a comment if you're a veteran. And that's where they usually leave a message. And from all of the support I gave them throughout 35 years and fighting and changing and modifying, providing service certifications, service dogs. They were faced with evictions here in Florida. Before I moved here, I came and fought here for them, for the veterans like John Frantangelo. Came and fought for their rights. They were getting evicted, and I stopped them dead because I fight for the right. And that's why John is going to work with me if I get elected, and it's projected that I should because of, and that I would, because of my long-standing service to country from the disabled perspective. And a lot of those folks were 9/11 folks. I'm a 9/11 survivor. I was there when the first plane hit and got out of there, and then went back looking for a friend that we never found. And, these casualties of war dating back to affecting teenagers, teenage heroes. He has the Silver Star and Purple Heart, fighting for your freedom based on what we thought was the war that this country was involved in, and the young men and women who died tragically today make no sense. But you heard John say he would rather be in today's war because of the president who's leading this country. He knows, like he said from his, that he knows this president would have his back. Back then, these men and women they had the back of each other. And that's why you got to read this story. Get this book, The Last Goodbye. The Last Goodbye. It's available online. All you got to remember, The Last Goodbye. Just when you go today in technology, you grab your phone, you're talking to it, find me The Last Goodbye. And there you have it. It comes up, and then you'll be supporting veterans. You'll be supporting this veteran. You'll be acknowledging and sharing an incredible story, a life-altering story. And if you're a past veteran, an Iraqi veteran, you know what this book is about. And you'll know, as you can see, Triple Vibe is about veterans, and it's about love and caring. And we love and care for our veterans. That's who we are as people, and we got to keep it simple, because in one nation under one God, we can trust that God is for us and not against us. His faith and this book has got a story of faith. It's got a story of faith for you, a believer, you who may have been in war, who may have encountered apparition or some sign that God is for you, and accepting. John had loss of his cousin. How does that confuse us with God when a 20-year-old boy is taken? Where's the sense in that, God? We don't know that mystery, but we know that there's a plan and a purpose in all of our lives, even in this pandemic. So in these times, we got to come together as a people. We got to come together as a people and always, 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 always respect those Vietnam veterans. They may look old, and you may see some of them homeless. That wasn't caused by them. Somebody else did that, and somebody's going to answer for it. If I get to Congress, I'll take care of it. I promise you that. That's a guarantee. Coming from a veteran family, and to my friend John, he knows he's planning. It's already on the books. We have it down this.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everybody for listening. It's really great. Great. I thought the book would get this kind of response.
Say again?
I said, I never thought the response. I mainly did it for my wife and kids and my family, so they'd have it. That's why I urge all the other veterans.
The untold story of Frantangelo. The untold secrets and stories of Frantangelo. The Last Goodbye, that really has tragedy, love, and family in it.
The other veterans deal with it. They need to tell their stories to leave it behind. Don't leave the legacy. I explain it in my book, but leave a legacy. Don't go out of this world with them one.
And the amazing contribution Carl Van Nives, Nevis made to this and to support our veterans. Carl's an incredible guy, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. I want to
Would you
thank
like
him.
to, would you like to express your thanks to John, to Carl?
Yes, absolutely. Carl, I just wanted to thank you much. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for you doing this. And I want to thank Dougie and Sean and Darren behind the scenes. I really appreciate it.
Magazine and Code NYC for their contribution and concern for the veterans as well, and the great stories. I mean, I got featured in a story with Code, and I'm always a friend here on Triple Vibe. I love it. We become it now. You're just part of the family, John. Welcome to the family of Code and Triple Vibe and Dougie. We all love each other here. See, this is the blessings from God. Even though we faced all these tragedies, and as Dougie's hiding from Corona. I see you hiding behind Corona. Come on, Dougie. Come on. Let's see. Put up that hat. Don't worry. I won't give you Corona through here. And you all know that I just recovered.
Hey, all I have to say is in this day and age, there are so many people that are going without masks in cabs and all these other things. You got to make sure that you're wearing a mask at all times. It is dangerous. You can catch that coronavirus is dangerous.
I had it. I just got up. John was talking to me during my convalescence here home, and he watched me progress from and now here I am by God's grace and friends praying, and prayer is big. And again, I just want to thank Carl Van Nievers again for
making this happen. Yeah.
For making this together and doing this timely, because this story and the time of war and with this virus we're going through, Code Media Group and Carl Van Nievers III, the need for the public to know about John Frantangelo, and since that the sales have taken on, and because it's an incredible story. It's a story that reaches your heart. It's about the humanity in us and the forgotten veteran, the Vietnam veteran. So I urge all you young people, you want to do something good today? Go out and grab that book. While we're home in virus, now it's time to do a little reading. Hey, who doesn't want to catch up on a good book? You're home, you got nothing else to do. All you can do is pick up your phone, go to your computer, and say, hey, Amazon, send me that book, The Last Goodbye. And you could be on there, and you can get it.
I just want to say one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to interject. I want to say another thing about writing this book was I wanted people to know about the veteran, what they go through. And family, friends and family have been calling me and telling me, says, my God, I never knew what you veterans really went through. And that's so important, because they see you on the street and they say, welcome home, or thank you for your service. But that's only words. They really don't know. It means a lot, but they really
actual sacrifice
know what the veteran really went through. It's just, that's what they got to tell their story, let their people know, so they can know what their father went through, or their mother, or their sister or brother. They'll know exactly.
That's why it's so incredible. And that Carl and Code Media Group, Carl Van Nievers III, and Code Media Group saw the importance of that. They saw the importance of that, and Triple Vibe and our veteran Dougie French. And we know veterans are important, and we're grateful to our veterans. From the bottom of my heart, John, you know what I do and how long I've done it. Right. You too as well, Dougie. Without our veterans, we don't have a country.
That's right.
It's because of you men and women. Now today we have a lot of women that got some brass onions. They go right out into the battlefield.
Absolutely.
And we love them, and we love them. They go out there and they show them we mean business. You won't bring terror to our house. Game on. So again, I want to thank Code Media Group, because this story is an important story. Carl Van Nievers III, my friend and friend to Triple Vibe, and all of us as part of this new extended family. I know we're going to do some more interviews, and I'm going to keep fighting for our veterans. Hopefully, I'll get to fight from the halls of Congress. And John, you'll be there with me when we do some landmark-breaking laws that protect them absolutely 100%. I don't think that we should have, before we go, I think, what's our time, Dougie? 3 minutes?
Yeah, we have 3 minutes.
Okay. So before we go, let us, as we get involved, one of the things that's important, as I run for the office of Congress here in Naples, Florida, I hope that you go to my site and give your support as I have supported this country and our veterans. And I promise you all, I will never deviate from who I am and the promises I make to the American people when you elect me to Congress. I will hold that office with honor, integrity, and character, but most of all, loyalty to all of you who um, who have supported the organization and the mission to protect and preserve our vulnerable. You saw this coronavirus attacked our vulnerable. Those are the men and women here in Florida that were abandoned on the street by the local legislators. They didn't want to talk about it, but I kept making noise. You saw my press releases. I put them out. Carl's got it. Code Magazine's got it. Code Magazine supports me and the efforts. 1,000 homeless veterans that were neglected in this corona. Okay? The local people, that are two other candidates, they're elected already. Why did this problem exist? I don't understand, and they're running for another office. That's not honorable. And you can't use the other office, but I'm coming out. And if everybody goes to www.aquino4congress.com, and if you care about this country, if you care about our veterans, you'll get behind me. Because our veterans here that are with you live right now know that I've been doing that fight for 35 years. And I'm not going to quit if I don't make Congress, because that's not a man's mission in life. You see your mission through, whatever that plight is that God puts in your heart. Mine was being an advocate, and I'm damn good at it. So now I'm going to bring it to the halls of Congress, and I'm going to tell those folks what they're going to do for the American people, because they work for us and we don't work for them. To our veterans, I want you to know how much I love you. Dougie, thank you. John, you know we're going to be breaking bread soon as we get past the virus.
Yep.
So again, everybody, we're going to Code Magazine, Triple Vibe, John Frantangelo, Darren Aquino. We love you, America, and we thank you, everybody.
God bless everyone. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming through. This is DJ Dougie Fresh. This is Hot Lunch. Hot Lunch, giving you the best music first. And today we just happen to be doing a amazing interview instead of Mega Mix. But hey, we love them all. Thank you very much to all of them that came through, and we'll catch them on the fly. And remember, this is DJ Dougie First giving you the best music first on TriplevibesRadio.com, baby. Yes, we got it.